what's true, what's not, what's correct, what's incorrect. Alphonse Shundu, who's the Kenya editor of Africa Check, joins me for this that we do every week. And it's interesting today, I almost can't hold myself, but we will do our business first, and then we'll talk about everything else that comes after. So it's good to have you with us, as always. So today, a couple of you asked us to take a look at this one. Remember, there's been a whole debate in the country about whether the money that has been borrowed in the country was spent only and solely on development. And Shundu will be telling us why this even matters, right? Okay, so let's then take a look at the statement that we're checking for this week. And that was made by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And he made this at the launch of the presidential portal, the delivery portal, yes? So this is what he said. As a government and as a responsible government, we are borrowing for investment in order to create growth in future and therefore create opportunities and jobs. So that was the president's statement. So today, this is what we're checking. Has the government spent money borrowed only on development, or has it gone into other things like recurrent expenditure? So, Alphonse and his team took a look at some of the numbers. Let me just do a quick summary here, and then he'll explain exactly what these numbers mean. So, this is the fiscal balance, and this is what amount of money again, Shundu?
492 billion. It's like we call it the deficit, the shortfall. Yes.
At the end of the financial year.
Yeah. The shortfall before. You see, let me break it down this way. Think of it like we have a huge pot of money. We know our revenues. So the first thing that we do once we get our revenues is to pay our bills. But then we need to develop. And to develop, that's why we borrow. And the law, the Public Finance Management Act, says that if we are going to borrow, put that money into development and development alone.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the law?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the law.
All right.
So that is the much that was needed. So that's the much that at the end of the financial year, when they looked into that pot of the money that they did not have, it is 492.1 billion.
Okay.
But then...
So wait, this is the amount that was then borrowed?
This is the amount that came in.
Okay.
Yes. That was the shortfall.
Okay.
Yes.
And then this is what we actually spent on development. Okay.
Yes.
So that's 485.4 billion.
Yes. The preliminary figures from the Treasury in the budget policy statement say this is the amount that was spent on development.
Okay.
So
and yet this is the amount of money that we had.
That the whole pot would have.
Great.
Yes.
So therefore that leaves a balance of 6.7 billion. Okay. So let's then understand this. This means that not all of this money was used for development. There was 6.7 billion shillings that did not go into development.
Yes.
So where could it possibly have gone?
So the thing we got is from the World Bank, and they say this could only have gone to, the suggestion was that this money could have been spent in recurrent expenditure.
And recurrent expenditure is not just salaries, yes?
No, recurrent expenditure is not just salaries. There is travel money for operation and maintenance in government.
Okay.
There is money for hospitality.
Right.
There is money for... There's all those other things.
Okay, that are not development.
Yes.
Okay, but let's be clear. The reason we're saying the only place this could go is recurrent expenditure, because to think otherwise would be that this money was stolen. So we're not going with the stolen
Don't go
one.
there.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're not going with the stolen one. We're saying that this
Yes.
6.7 billion that was not used on development, as is required by law, went to recurrent expenditure.
Yes.
Okay, so why should we be worried? Why is this a big thing? This is all money that came in, and, well, we can see what money went and where what did not go. Why should this be a big deal in this country?
So this is where the experts come in, and we spoke to the executive director of IREN, Dr. Shikwati.
Yes.
Then we spoke to Kwame Wino of IEA. Then we spoke to Razia Khan of the Standard Chartered Bank.
Yes.
And we spoke to Professor Morton Javan from Norway.
Okay.
Yes. And
so all of these guys said what?
We're trying to understand why should we care about this. And they were telling us that if it reaches a point where you guys are borrowing and you're putting that money to recurrent, you're not creating future value for that money. So you will keep borrowing and putting it into recurrent, and it will get to a time when you go out to borrow, investors will give you the money at very high interest rates, or people will just now start shying away from giving the country money.
And because if we're paying for this money, then it's supposed to give us value over the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
Yes.
Because that's what development is.
Yes.
So it would make sense to be paying back a loan for value that you will see decades to come.
Yes.
But if it's recurrent expenditure, then not. And most of all, Shundu, that this is against the law.
That's against the law.
Okay.
And the way Shikoti put it, it's like you've taken a loan and you take the money and go on holiday.
Okay.
And you should know that you're coming back to pay it again.
Yeah.
So that's how we put it. So with these figures, so far, that is the assessment we have made, and that is the assessment that we have. And if the Treasury has different figures to explain this, because this is from the budget policy statement
itself, which was released in November last year.
And they gave it to Parliament.
Right.
So if they have more figures to clarify this matter, then we will be happy to welcome it and engage them on what to do. Yes.
All right. So this is good. So at least now we have an understanding of this. And lots of people have been asking us about this, whether all the money that was borrowed in the country went to development, as should be the case.
Yes.
And we found a 6.7